Chapter 1431 Someone's going after Gu Jingze. Gu Jingze held on to Fu Chengxi after class. What exactly is going on? Fu Chengxi only lowered her head and told her everything. Gu Jingze smiled and looked at her. I couldn't tell that he had his intentions on you. Fu Chengxi looked up, looking panicky and uneasy. I think our differences are huge. He's the young master of the Lu family and my family sells vegetables. I think I'm insignificant compared to him. Gu Jingze said, enough, all these don't mean anything. You're thinking too much. Who cares about a huge difference in family status? Which era are you living in that you want to be matched in family and social statuses? But. Alright, no more buts. Isn't it most important that two people are in love and want to be together? Fu Chengxi looked at her with appreciation. Really? Later, the group of three ended up with the two of them. Gu Jingze invested more in her studies when she was feeling bored. 2 months flew by and she was still holding on to the first place in the school's list. Occasionally, she would see Lu Baiken with Fu Chengxi and she would hide away as she did not want to interrupt their lover's world. This day, Gu Jingze was going to take part in an English language competition and she was looking up some vocabulary at a corner. Just then, a few people got to Gu Jingze's side. Gu Jingze. She looked up and saw a few familiar-looking guys. What do you want? This, take this. A yellow envelope appeared in front of her. Gu Jingze was surprised. It was a love letter. Gu Jingze looked at the guys and one of them said, what are you looking at? It's not from us. It's from our chief. Quickly take a look. We have to return one tomorrow. Gu Jingze came to her senses and knew who these guys were. Any school would have some gangsters, usually, those who did not like studying and always caused some trouble. These guys were part of the biggest group of troublemakers in the first grade. They liked loitering along the corridors to taunt girls after class. She had seen them a few times, so she knew. As for their chief, it was the known Fang Zun. He was tall and dressed very flamboyantly. He would always have a group of people around him, usually very obvious. How would Gu Jingze not know? Please reply by tomorrow afternoon. We'll go to your class to get it from you. What? Gu Jingze laughed. Not necessary. I'm not interested in this sort of thing. Gu Jingze immediately handed the letter back to them, turned around, and left. Hey, you. Gu Jingze found it amusing. Did it mean that she had met a suitor? During the afternoon in class, Gu Jingze was still looking at her book. She could not be bothered to acknowledge that Lu Baiken had returned. As he was with Fu Chengxi, Gu Jingze had long ago let them sit together. Lu Baiken glanced at Fu Chengxi and went back to his own seat. Unexpectedly, someone appeared at the door, holding a bouquet of flowers. Everyone looked and marveled, feeling very curious. That person immediately walked over to where Gu Jingze was, right in front of everyone. Lu Baiken was a little surprised as well. He looked up and saw the bouquet of flowers placed on Gu Jingze's table. Gu Jingze looked up and frowned. What for? This is from our chief. Everyone looked and started speculating. Isn't Fang Zun their chief? No way, the chief from the first grade is going after Gu Jingze now. Wow, this is big news. Lu Baiken could not help feeling uneasy upon hearing these speculations. What about a big chief from the first grade? What kind of chief was there in the first grade? Gu Jingze took a look. Take it back, I've already said I'm not interested. We can't do that, our chief doesn't take back what is given out. Gu Jingze replied immediately, sorry, I really am not interested. Hey, it's your fortune that our chief is interested in you. Our chief is the big boss of the first grade. With him around, you can even walk alongside the rest of the first grade. Gu Jingze laughed even more. Oh, so powerful, a pity I don't like to walk sideways. You. They looked at one another. Class was going to start soon. They could only make a move first. Anyway, the item has been delivered. You take this. The class went abuzz after the guys left. Everyone thought it was romantic for flowers to be sent. Looking at the flowers, it was a huge bouquet of roses. It must have been quite expensive and most students would not be able to afford it. Some scoffed with jealousy. Isn't Gu Jingze just good at studying? Why would Fang Zun take a liking to her? Gu Jingze did not take it to heart. She looked at the flowers. People fancied this flower but she did not at all. She had all sorts of precious flowers at her home's garden. These roses were nothing. She then tossed the flowers into the rubbish bin. Wow, Gu Jingze is really proud. She doesn't want the flowers and threw them into the bin. She's the first in academics, just feeling high and proud. Gu Jingyan headed out of the school alone at night. Gu Jingyan. A guy blocked her way. I heard you didn't think much of the flowers I sent. Did you throw them into the rubbish bin? That was Fang Zun. Gu Jingyan looked up at him and raised an eyebrow. Why now? Fang Zun said, Ha, you ask why now? Now that you've offended me, I'm telling you that you have to agree to be my girlfriend. If not, it'll be endless between us. Gu Jingyan looked at him speechless. The corner of her mouth curled. She smiled with disdain. What do you mean by endless between us? What do you want? I, Fang Zun, will get whomever I fancy. You're asking what do I want? He looked at Gu Jingyan with warmth. The school belle had been Cheng Naxin. Then, it was unknown why she had transferred schools. Everyone felt that Gu Jingyan was actually much prettier than Cheng Naxin. She liked wearing bright red dresses. Dresses like this usually looked very gaudy on people. But, when it was on Gu Jingyan, it looked stunning. It exuded her beauty, highlighting her presence and exquisiteness. Anyone who saw her would naturally admire. Fang Zun observed her. Looking with such close proximity, he was more determined to win her. He had never seen anyone prettier. Meanwhile, at the back, Lu Baikan was walking with Fu Chengxi and he noticed the people at this side. Gu Jingyan was surrounded by a few people. Among them was this tall guy who had an aggressive face and he was looking at Gu Jingyan. Lu Baikan's eyes shifted. What is that about? Fu Chengxi watched from the side and in a fright, she tightly held onto Lu Baikan's arm. Those people are powerful. Why do you want to go over? Lu Baikan said, what are they saying to Gu Jingyan? Let's tell the teacher, okay. Don't go over. Fu Chengxi said. Chapter 1432 A Beautiful Display. Lu Baikan looked over that side. Relax, it's just a few punks. What's there to be afraid of? But it's dangerous. Fu Chengxi could not hold him back. Immediately, Lu Baikan had already gone forward. Hey, don't you guys feel embarrassed about surrounding one girl? A few of them turned their heads around, stunned. Their eyes shifted when they saw Lu Baikan. Fang Zun knew he could not afford to offend Lu Baikan. His eyes shifted and he said, hey, you have your own girlfriend. Don't play the hero for other girls. Lu Baikan was already walking over. What does having a girlfriend have to do with Gu Jingyan? I just don't like seeing so many people surrounding a girl. Fang Zun looked at Gu Jingyan. I'm not surrounding her. I'm going after her. What does this have to do with you? Lu Baikan looked at Gu Jingyan. He's chasing after you. Do you agree to that? Gu Jingyan shook her head. I don't agree. Lu Baikan smiled in satisfaction. He knew that the fourth young mistress from the Gu family would not like a punk like Fang Zun. Gu Jingyan had class. Hey, you've heard it. She's saying she doesn't like you. You can leave. Fang Zun's face turned red. Not liking means of to do the chasing. We would be together if she liked me. Anyway, this is between us. It has nothing to do with you. Hey, isn't that your girlfriend over there? If you don't move away, I can't guarantee if I'll take any action. Don't blame me if anything happens then. Lu Baikan scoffed. If you want to hurt my people, you should take a look at your own capabilities first. Fang Zun's eyes narrowed. He could not be frightened in front of a pretty girl. Very well. Fang Zun immediately attacked. Lu Baikan followed with his fist and returned a hit. However, Fang Zun had many guys with him this time. Moreover, the school compounds were his territory. As he fought, the punks under him immediately charged over. It was difficult for Lu Baikan's pair of hands to fight off four. Though he was not beaten to a pulp, he did take a few beatings. On the other side, Fu Chengxi was scared stiff. She hid there, not daring to move an inch. Just then. The police are here. Someone outside shouted. The police were seen hurrying over. Lu Baikan was kicked to the ground. He looked up at the men in uniform and said, you guys are here pretty fast this time. He also saw that Gu Jingyan had come along. So it was her. She knew something was going to happen and had already gone to call the police. Gu Jingyan noticed Lu Baikan on the ground right away. Though the opposition was in bad shape, Lu Baikan was not great either. His handsome face had taken a hit and was bruised all over. Lu Baikan. Gu Jingyan hurried over to help. How did this happen? You even got hit. She helped Lu Baikan up. Ouch, Lu Baikan moaned. He got up and massaged his cheeks. I'm alright, they're far worse. Opposite, four guys had fallen to the ground including Fang Zun, whose face had turned purple after the beating. He looked far worse than Lu Baikan. But Gu Jingyan's heart was slightly moved. She looked at Lu Baikan deeply. Alright, let's go to the sickbay first. As Lu Baikan was assisted, he looked at Gu Jingyan. This woman, I have not noticed her for 2 months and now, she looks even more beautiful. It was as though something had penetrated her skin. She was glowing throughout. Her skin was as fair as a snowflake, making her cheeks look even brighter. At 17 or 18, one would start transforming. If Gu Jingyan could be more low profile, her genes could just be left in her bones. Lu Baikan only thought that for some reason, Gu Jingyan looked even prettier than before. He said, not that I want to say, but why did you have to be so attention-seeking? Now, you're in trouble. Gu Jingyan looked at him. Why is it my fault again? He came looking on his own. If you weren't so attention-seeking in the first place, how would he have noticed you? Oh, I'm happy to seek attention. But does it mean that he can come and make things difficult for me? You say it as if I stripped off my clothes and it's only natural that someone should come and rape me. Even if I'm naked, it's still rape if it's without consent. Do you even understand? Ha, you've got a sharp tongue. I'm not going to care about you in the future. Ha, who wants your care? Baikan, Jingyan. Just then, Fu Chengxi walked over. Gu Jingyan looked at Fu Chengxi and let go of Lu Baikan's hand. She smiled, all right, you can have him back. Lu Baikan looked, was she just going to push him to someone else? Hey, Gu Jingyan, I did take a beating for you after all. And now, you're running off just like that. Gu Jingyan turned her head around. Your girlfriend is here, what am I needed for? Go be lovey-dovey, I don't want to be the third wheel. Fu Chengxi turned red in the face. However, looking at Gu Jingyan and then at Lu Baikan, she quickly said, Jingyan, you seldom hang out with us now, are you unhappy? Gu Jingyan paused and quickly waved her hand. No, I'm not unhappy. I'm just worried I'll intrude on you both. Moreover, you guys are together. It's cruel since I'm single. It's better if I stay far away. Fu Chengxi looked at her and lowered her head in shyness. She did not really want Gu Jingyan to be around either. It was quite nice for her to be alone with Lu Baikan actually. Whenever Gu Jingyan was around, she would somehow be nervous because Gu Jingyan was too perfect. She always felt that in front of her, she was buried completely. She worried that Lu Baikan would see Gu Jingyan in a different manner while his girlfriend was a disaster. Lu Baikan asked, are you sure you're that kind-hearted? Yes. They reached the sickbay as they talked. Lu Baikan went to get the medicine on and Gu Jingyan left. It was the school's awards ceremony the next day. Gu Jingyan went up onto the stage again. She was the top student of the entire school. She was also the model student. She went up on stage, received her award, and stood there to address the students. Hello everyone, I'm Gu Jingyan. The students looked at her who stood under the sunlight, thinking she was extremely pretty. Lu Baikan heard some started speculating at the side. Gu Jingyan looks really good. Look, her skin's so fair. Oh yes, I get tanned once it's summer. But it seems like she doesn't get tanned. Lu Baikan looked at Gu Jingyan. Indeed, under the sunlight, her skin glowed. It was so natural and beautiful. Someone from the side added on, and her features are nice. She's good in her academic studies too. Do you realize that even in the same uniforms, it looks different on her and on us? So it's better to just look at her face. Chapter 1433. They started arguing. Not only the girls were talking. The boys were even more unrestrained. Look at that face. It must certainly be nice to touch. That figure is perfect too. Her chest developed well. Hearing all these, Lu Baikan could not resist looking. Indeed, Gu Jingyan's figure was voluptuous yet slender in the right places. Her legs were slim while her chest was very full. Lu Baikan listened to them talk but started frowning. Where were these people looking at? At this moment, Fu Chengxi looked from the side and saw Lu Baikan's frown. She also heard all these discussions until she blushed. She thought that these guys were really lewd. But looking at Lu Baikan's expression, she was rather worried. Testing waters, she said to Lu Baikan, Jingyan is really gorgeous, isn't she? Lu Baikan replied, why? Why do you care if she's gorgeous or not? Fu Chengxi asked, don't guys like pretty girls? Lu Baikan said, guys like looking at pretty girls, but it doesn't mean that they must like pretty girls. Fu Chengxi cocked her head to the side and looked at him. So, you don't like pretty girls? Lu Baikan said, I don't. Lu Baikan had no opinions on his girlfriend's appearance. He had never really had a relationship before either. He previously almost got into relationships, but none ever progressed further. After all, there were too many girls around him. The moment he went out, he was always surrounded by all kinds of beautiful girls. They were countless and he was long sick of it. Seeing as he seemed rather serious in his reply, Fu Chengxi felt a lot more at ease. Whenever she went out now, people from school actually knew that she was Fu Chengxi, Lu Baikon's girlfriend. In the past when she was beside Gu Jingyan, everyone would naturally neglect her. It was as if everyone knew Gu Jingyan, but nobody seemed to know that the girl beside Gu Jingyan was named Fu Chengxi. Now, because of Lu Baikon, she actually became a hot topic in school. She looked at Lu Baikon and quietly lowered her head, smiling with satisfaction. When class began, the teacher spoke. Lu Baikon, your grades are not making the cut this time. Gu Jingyan, you will help him with revisions from tomorrow night onwards. If he continues doing badly in the next exam, you will be punished together. Gu Jingyan turned her head and glanced at Lu Baikon. Lu Baikon also looked at Gu Jingyan. When their eyes met, both of them were completely disdained. Lu Baikon was indeed lazy when it came to exams, so he did not do well. But there was no need for Gu Jingyan to be his teacher. But the teacher had no choice either. He was the young master of the Lu family who couldn't be beaten or scolded. They could only compromise the school's top student, Gu Jingyan, to be his tutor. After class, Gu Jingyan turned around and said, Lu Baikon, can you be more serious with your studies? Seriously, what a waste of my time. As she spoke, she passed a few practice books to him. Take these. We'll do 2 pages every day from tomorrow onwards. Lu Baikon looked at her speechlessly. You really want me to do them? Gu Jingyan rolled her eyes. If you score badly the next time, I'm going to get punished too. Be more serious. Fu Chengxi watched from the side and was in a spot. She asked, Baikon, why don't you go along with it? Gu Jingyan said, exactly. See, even Chengxi says so. Lu Baikon rolled his eyes and looked at the 2 girls. Women are so troublesome. At night, Gu Jingyan and Lu Baikon went to the Lu family's house for revision. In order to avoid gossip, they let Fu Chengxi tag along. The Lu house was very huge. It was also Fu Chengxi's first time here. Looking at this place, she understood why the school was so fearful of the Lu family. The Lu family's house was as big as the school. Lu Baikon's room alone was already over 200 square meters. This was bigger than an average house itself. Upon entering the house, Lu Qinyu was around. He saw the 3 kids come in and first noticed Gu Jingyan. Oh my, Jingyan, what brings you here? Lu Qinyu was especially warm to her. Gu Jingyan said, I. She glanced at Lu Baikon. Sure enough, Lu Baikon was making eyes at her, signaling her to talk less. Gu Jingyan smiled. I'm here to help Lu Baikon. Lu Baikon's eyes were almost popping out as he glared at her. I'm here to do homework with him. Ah, I see. Good. Go on in. I'll get the attendants to get you guys some snacks. Thanks, Uncle Lu. Don't mention it. Go in quickly. It's hot outside. Lu Qinyu glanced at Fu Chengxi and thought that she was just one of their classmates joining in. He did not even ask for her name. The attendants looked at Gu Jingyan and bowed. Hello, Miss Gu. Fu Chengxi was neglected. Feeling uncomfortable, she kept close to Lu Baikon. They entered the room and began the revision. Gu Jingyan was extremely fast with her work, while Lu Baikon was laid back and not so serious. Gu Jingyan could not help but look at him. Hey, can you speed it up? Don't waste my time. Lu Baikon said, I'm already very fast. Just look at that question. You didn't do it properly, much less with speed. It's all wrong. Do you have a pig's brain? Hey, Gu Jingyan. Who are you calling pig-brained? Whoever gets the answer wrong. Gu Jingyan, I think you're asking for a death wish. Oh no. I'm calling Uncle Lu to come. Someone wants to murder me. Gu Jingyan. What, did I say something wrong? You didn't review your work first. I'm being meticulous. The question is so simple. Don't take a chicken feather for an arrow. You don't want to see me and I don't want to see you too. So why don't you study properly for your next exam and we won't have to face each other like this again? The 2 of them continued revising. After a while, Gu Jingyan flared up again. Lu Baikon, this is so simple and you don't even know how to do it. What exactly is in your brain? Lu Baikon was also frustrated. Who are you talking about? I'm talking about you. What is in your brain? I think you're picking on me on purpose. Can't you talk to me nicely? I'm already talking to you nicely. The 2 of them immediately stood up and looked at each other, as if they almost wanted to hit one another. At the side, Fu Chengxi also quickly stood up. She held Lu Baiken back as she said to Gu Jingyan, "Don't fight, guys. Let's talk things out. Jingyan, don't be so impatient. Baiken, you have to be more serious too." Gu Jingyan said, "No wonder your grades are bad. Your brain has a problem. Humph, better than being a fierce tigress like you." "You. What about me? You're not happy about it? Why don't you take a look in the mirror and see how fierce you look right now? No wonder you'd attract worms like Fang Zun." Gu Jingyan's face was red with anger. She grabbed her own bag, turned around, and left. Fu Chengxi looked and said anxiously, "Jingyan, don't hey, Baiken. Go calm her down." "What for? Let her go." Lu Baiken sat down and continued propping his legs up. At the side, Fu Chengxi bit her lip. Seeing the two argue, she lowered her head. Chapter 1434. You guys really love bickering. Even after some time since Gu Jingyan left, Lu Baiken still felt unjust. He looked at Fu Chengxi. "How did you hang with her for so long in the past?" Fu Chengxi said hesitantly, "Baiken, Jingyan is rather nice. She treats me very well and is very righteous. You probably just clashed with her in character." "Haha, righteous. This is righteous. She's just relying on her status as the fourth young mistress of the Gu family. That is why she does whatever she wants and doesn't understand tolerance. She's full of pride. She's only the top student in school. So what, is it worth being proud just because of good grades? Ha, in that case, this fourth young mistress of the Gu family must be really easy to satisfy." And did you look at the kind of attitude she had just now? Baiken. At the very most, we'll get punished together. I'm not learning anymore. I'll see what she can do to me. You're really not learning anymore. Baiken, don't be so angry. Go and apologize to her or I can go on your behalf. No, Lu Baiken looked at her sternly. Fu Chengxi fell silent and looked at him. She did not dare to defy his order. She felt uneasy as she looked at him getting so upset and grumbling non-stop over another girl. But from another perspective, perhaps it was because he really did not like Gu Jingyan. She comforted herself, picked up the notebook, and continued writing. The next day. There was a commotion in the school again because another group of students transferred today. Gu Jingyan was still seated in class and reading when she saw students outside exclaiming, "Wow, so handsome, what's going on in school these days? What's with the influx of handsome guys? And they don't look ordinary. Their family backgrounds probably aren't too bad either." Gu Jingyan did not pay much attention, as transfers occurred frequently especially for a famous school like theirs. It was normal for students to transfer here halfway through. However, as she was working on a question, she heard someone call out, "Ah, Gu Jingyan." Gu Jingyan looked up. She saw two handsome guys at the door. They hopped in with happy faces. Everyone turned to look curiously at Gu Jingyan and the two guys. Gu Jingyan was embarrassed at first, then she stood up and pointed at them in surprise. "You guys, why are you here?" These two guys were her childhood friends, Shu Zekai and Fang Shengting. They were nicknamed Boss Shu and Little Q. They came in and immediately surrounded her. Little Q spoke first. "Well, we heard that Lu Baiken transferred here, so we decided to transfer too." "Yeah, you're all here. It's too boring by ourselves in that private school." "Exactly. There aren't many pretty girls too. They don't seem as easily influenced as the ones here. They're all too bright." Naturally, there were plenty of girls in private schools with good family backgrounds. That school was simply a school for the super rich. Many who attended that school all went with motives. They were extremely bright. In contrast, this school was much more average. Students came from all backgrounds and were much more simple-minded. "So you guys came to our school with this motive? You guys just transferred here? Wow, don't tell me you're joining our class." "Sigh, I did want to, but they said that your class is the advanced class and it's full. So we got transferred to the next class." Gu Jingyan rolled her eyes. "That's good. Don't come here and sabotage me." One scourge like Lu Baiken was already enough in this class. She would not be able to tolerate all these rich young masters. "Ha, do you feel as if we interrupted your lover's world with Lu Baiken?" "Don't worry, we won't disturb you guys," Little Q said casually. Gu Jingyan almost choked. She glared at him and said, "Haha, don't you know that Lu Baiken has a girlfriend? If you dare to spout nonsense, he might just come at you. Also, don't mention him to me. I have nothing to do with him now." Gu Jingyan did not forget about their argument last night. Lu Baiken was so self-conceited and hot-headed. There was no way she'd want anything to do with him. Just then, the onlookers looked even more surprised. These two handsome new students knew Gu Jingyan. Gu Jingyan really knew plenty of handsome guys. Everyone looked at Gu Jingyan with envy. But just then, Lu Baikan arrived. Hey, Baikan. Their greeting left Lu Baikan a little surprised. Hey, what are you two fellas doing here? We're here as your schoolmates. No way, haha, you guys are really scourges. Wow, you said the exact same thing as Gu Jingyan. You both despise us so much. The three of them laughed. At the side, Fu Chengxi looked on, not knowing what was going on. She only stared in a daze, feeling a little awkward. What, only you and Gu Jingyan can be happy here but not us? At the mention of Gu Jingyan's name, Lu Baikan's face darkened. He looked in her direction and said contemptuously, haha, you want to join this class? You can join it, I'll swap with you right now. Gu Jingyan turned her head, looked at them, and said, yeah, I think a certain someone is not suited for this class. You guys wanted to come here but it's full, right? Well, that's perfect, someone is willing to back out, so you guys should hurry and join. The two of them looked at Gu Jingyan and then at Lu Baikan. No way, what happened to you two? Hey, don't, there is no, us. There is only me or her. Don't lump us together, Lu Baikan said. Gu Jingyan scoffed. That's right, animals are animals, while humans are humans. I'm not on the same path as a certain someone. Don't say that in the future. The two of them then understood. No way, you guys fought. No, I have completely cut off relations with a certain someone. Fighting, do you know what it means by playing the piano in front of a cow? Can you call it a fight if it's with a cow? You can't, understand. Gu Jingyan turned around. Lu Baikan, who are you calling a cow? Lu Baikan smiled. I wasn't talking about you. Was I talking about you? Don't make any assumptions. You. Everyone then understood that the two were really bickering. What, if you don't like it, you can leave. Lu Baikan continued. Gu Jingyan sat down. This is my class and my seat. Why should I leave? The one who came later should leave. Hey, you guys really don't want it. You shut up. You shut up. The two of them spoke at the same time. In an instant, the atmosphere was as awkward as it could get. Looking at each other, Gu Jingyan scoffed and turned around. Lu Baikan also hummed and sat down. The other three people stood there, not knowing what to do. Thankfully, it was time for class. They quickly left in a hurry. Chapter 1435 got hit on like that. Fu Chengxi looked at the two guys who said hello to Gu Jingyan and left. She stood there for a long time before sitting down. Baikan, who were those two guys? She asked quietly. Lu Baikan was still staring at the back of Gu Jingyan's head with a look of contempt. Seeing that Gu Jingyan did not turn back, he scoffed and made a prideful expression. He took his book proudly. Upon hearing Fu Chengxi's words, he then replied to her. Oh, they are also some childhood friends. They got bored with their old school, so they transferred here. Ah, I see. I saw that you and Gu Jingyan both know them, Fu Chengxi said. Lu Baikan scoffed. Yeah, it's all because the circle is so small. These people know one another more or less. Fu Chengxi understood and the corners of her mouth twitched. She smiled and said, oh yeah, there are a limited number of wealthy people after all, and you are all in B City. Did you guys play together when you were young? I hung out with them when I was little. Obviously, I'm not on the same path as some people. Lu Baikan was still resolved about not mentioning Gu Jingyan's name. Fu Chengxi said, then how come they seem so close to Gu Jingyan? Lu Baikan said, yeah, they live closer to the Gu family, so it's kinda like growing up in the same big yard. That is why they are quite close. Fu Chengxi understood but lowered her head as she fiddled with her hands. She looked at Gu Jingyan, and then at Lu Baikan. Lu Baikan noticed that her expression was off. He asked, what's wrong? Fu Chengxi smiled and said, it's nothing. I just feel like you're closer to your circles than me. I don't know anything at all. Lu Baikan understood this and said nonchalantly, so what about it? They're just childhood friends, nothing more. When you're younger, you're bound to have some crazy friends, and also some from your neighborhood. Fu Chengxi said, I was stupid when I was young too. I didn't have any friends. Jingyan has been my only friend. Lu Baikan said, and now you have me. Fu Chengxi heard this and looked at him gratefully. Her heart warmed. She smiled and nodded. Yeah, I have you exactly. Don't argue with Gu Jingyan anymore. Alright, let's focus on our class. At the mention of this, Lu Baikan immediately frowned and changed the topic. Lunchtime at the canteen. Lu Baikan was with Fu Chengxi. Little Q and Boss Shu from the class next door came to find them. Looking at Fu Chengxi, Little Q asked quizzically, "Hey, this is..." Fu Chengxi's body tightened as she looked at him nervously. Lu Baiken said, "Didn't you see her this morning? She is Fu Chengxi, my girlfriend." Little Q then understood, so this was his girlfriend. He did not see her before. Of course, he wouldn't recognize her. Especially with such a beauty like Gu Jingyan beside him, how would he know that Lu Baiken would actually take a liking to an ordinary girl? He smiled awkwardly. Oh, hello. It was too embarrassing to say that he only paid attention to the two arguing and did not notice Fu Chengxi in the morning. Furthermore, Fu Chengxi didn't have any presence at all. Who would have noticed a meek girl beside a flamboyant Lu Baiken? Fu Chengxi's face was stiffer. She smiled and did not say anything. She followed obediently beside Lu Baiken. However, she naturally knew what he meant. Nobody noticed her in the morning. But it didn't matter. Wasn't it enough that Lu Baiken liked her? Fu Chengxi told herself in her heart. The group left together and walked towards the canteen with a blazing trail, attracting countless gazes. The few tall and handsome guys were like sunshine. Furthermore, 3 of them were not wearing the school uniform. They were dressed casually, but it was very fashionable, making them stand out from the crowd. Although they were guys, they had way too many clothes at home. After all, they were no ordinary people. Their clothes were not bought by themselves and every piece of clothing was the latest from the top brands that were worth thousands of yuan. Although the designs were simple, the details were extremely beautiful and fashionable. They were definitely different from their average peers. Little Q even had a pair of headphones hanging around his neck. As he walked, he attracted attention. Wow, the canteen here is pretty big. I wonder if the food is good. Lu Baiken took the group to the teacher's canteen on the 2nd floor. They could choose their food there and the dishes were tastier than the food downstairs. It was just much more expensive too. Especially for students, the prices seemed much more inflated. Thus, students normally didn't come up except the richer ones who came up here once in a while. Everyone looked at the group who just arrived and immediately made space for Lu Baiken. The canteen staff also quickly tended to him. Fu Chengxi had never eaten at this canteen because Gu Jingyan kept a low profile and never came here for meals. Ever since she got together with Lu Baiken, she was brought here every day. In the beginning, everyone would look at them and she would feel shy. Now, she had gotten used to it. Everyone usually stared at them, but there were more stares today, probably because of the 2 additional guys with them. The 2 guys looked at Fu Chengxi from time to time, seemingly very curious. Fu Chengxi was not used to it. Hey, Baiken, how come I don't see Gu Jingyan? Boss Shu asked. Lu Baiken immediately frowned. Boss Shu asked, what? You guys may fight, but it's our first day here and you're considered our hosts. We can't leave her out. Boss Shu spoke as he looked down at the canteen below. He saw that Gu Jingyan was there, but a guy joined her not long after. Wow, is Gu Jingyan being hit on? Lu Baiken heard this, put down his chopsticks, and glanced down. Gu Jingyan had just sat down when someone joined her. She looked up. Sorry, all other seats are taken. Can I sit here? The guy was very handsome. When he looked at her, he blushed. He did not look like a guy who had ill intentions trying to hit on her arrogantly. Gu Jingyan looked around. The seats were indeed occupied. Furthermore, this guy didn't seem too annoying. Oh, sure. Thank you, Gu Jingyan. He replied with a smile. Huh, you know who I am. Gu Jingyan had no recollection of him. The guy smiled. Hello, I'm Senkai. Of course, I know who you are. Who wouldn't in this school? You're the top student. Gu Jingyan heard this, smiled, and continued eating. Senkai looked at her and was extremely shy. But at the same time, he was very gentle. You know Lu Baiken? He asked. Gu Jingyan replied, ah yes. Right, I just thought if you didn't know each other before, you wouldn't be so close. Those rumors outside are too gross. Gu Jingyan asked, what rumors are there outside? It's nothing really, but how did you guys know each other? Were you classmates or something? Senkai thought that ordinary people probably wouldn't be able to know someone elite like Lu Baiken. Gu Jingyan smiled. I just know him. What about it? Do I need to fulfill some conditions to know him? Of course, average people like us wouldn't know him. He was very humble to identify as an average person, but Gu Jingyan could tell from his watch and his clothes that they were not cheap. He must have at least come from a wealthy family. Chapter 1436 Relying on Clothes. However, when it came to Liu Baikan, most other wealthy families did not dare to compare with the Liu family. Seng Kai was actually a nice person. He was just a little shy and Gu Jingyan did not dislike him. Thus, she had a conversation with him. Upstairs. The group of people looked at the people below. Who's that talking so enthusiastically with Gu Jingyan? Fu Chengxi saw and said weakly, I think he's quite rich too. I've seen him before, she said carefully, unsure. Boss Shu looked down and laughed. Miss, there's nobody we don't know who is rich in B City. If we don't know them, that means they're not rich enough. Fu Chengxi was even more embarrassed upon hearing that. She had always been careful with her words, worried that she would say something wrong and become a joke to others. At that moment, she didn't dare say anything more. Don't tell me that guy is going after Gu Jingyan, little Q said. Boss Shu said, ha, seriously. Does he know who Gu Jingyan is? Chasing her, she's not easy to chase. When the Gu family picks a son-in-law, they're bound to be very stringent. There was a royal from England who went over last year. He asked to date Gu Jingyan, hoping that she would study overseas. The Gu family disagreed vehemently. How much better can this guy be? Liu Baikan looked down and scoffed. Alright, it's already not bad that someone wants to go after this tigress. Who cares who it is? Hey, it's not very kind of you to say these words. Gu Jingyan is pretty after all. You don't know how many people are dying to go after her. It's only because she's the fourth young mistress of the Gu family that they don't dare to. Liu Baikan replied, haha, how are you so blind? The group of them shook their heads, speechless. Alright, we're not taking part in your argument. Let's go down and have a look. You can go if you want. I'm not going. Liu Baikan proudly continued to eat his food, unwilling to move from his spot. The group was exasperated. They could only go down and look for Gu Jingyan on their own. The two of them did not bother about each other, making others feel exasperated. The two of them were both stubborn beyond words, nobody could convince them. The next day, Gu Jingyan was heading home after class. She bumped into Seng Kai who greeted her. He got into a low-profile Bentley car, with a driver at the front. Indeed, his family was also considered to be quite wealthy. Let's go, I'll send you back. Where do you live? Gu Jingyan did not want him to know her identity, so she said, it's alright. I can get home myself. You go on first. I don't want to head home just yet. I want to go to another place. Is that so? I can give you a lift. No thanks. Alright, then you be careful. Gu Jingyan thanked him and watched his car leave. Just then, Liu Baikan's red Ferrari was being driven out from the back, very arrogantly. It went past Gu Jingyan's, lightly brushing her side. Gu Jingyan stood still and looked on with anger. Pity he had already gone over. He would not hear it even if she scolded him. It was getting closer to New Year's Day and the school had started preparing for the New Year's party. Although it was a reputable school, it was not that rigid. They often held events and parties of sorts, and they even have some interest groups. The school's ultimate goal was to have their students be developed in all areas and have abilities surpassing the masses. Thus, the school believed that it is important to nurture social skills as it would be of help in their futures. It was the juniors' first time at the party and they were somewhat anxious and excited about it. Everyone discussed what they were going to wear. Fu Chengxi had intended to ask Gu Jingyan. She did not have any ideas of her own and had wanted to seek Gu Jingyan's opinion. However, with the argument between Gu Jingyan and Liu Baikan, she had no opportunity to ask. Just then, Liu Baikan looked at Fu Chengxi. What's wrong? You look dull. Fu Chengxi said, that I don't know what I should wear to the party. Though in a difficult spot, she did not want to dress poorly and make Liu Baikan look bad. Oh, the party anything. There are no requirements, Liu Baikan said casually. Fu Chengxi replied, but I don't have any skirts. I'm not sure if I should wear a dress then. Liu Baikan looked at her. Let's go. Pulling her up and heading out, Fu Chengxi asked, where are we going? We're going to buy you a skirt. Fu Chengxi had never been to such an upscale store. Changing into those high-end skirts, she felt she had become distinguished in an instant. Moreover, the staff compliments also made her feel refreshed. She had never dared to look in whenever she passed by this place. She always felt that the store's staff would give judgmental looks. If they saw her looking in, they would definitely look at her with disdain. So whenever she walked past, she acted as though she knew where she stood and would not like the clothes here. Honestly, which girl would not like pretty skirts? All the skirts here were beautiful. Even if there were imitations outside, the feeling was ultimately different. Perhaps, this was the power of money. Fu Chengxi tried on several pieces. Lu Baikan was generous and he bought them all right away. Fu Chengxi felt bad. This is very expensive, so expensive spending a few tens of thousands. Lu Baikan said, it's nothing. Let's go. Fu Chengxi looked at his side profile and smiled lightly. She thought that if he was willing to spend money on her without a care, it meant that he still liked her somehow. However, Fu Chengxi never understood why he had chosen her to be his girlfriend. She did not understand and knew the difference between them was huge. So sometimes, she felt guilty and felt like she was stealing him. Somehow, she thought that one day, he would leave her. The party started on a happy note. Fu Chengxi entered the hall and felt that she had bought the right clothes. Everyone who entered was dressed to the nines. Especially those who were in years 2 and 3. Whoever had more experience was dressed better. The first years were not any less dressed. The students who were usually in uniforms looked vibrant and especially good-looking when they dressed up. Fu Chengxi was noticed by several people when she entered. Is that Fu Chengxi? Wow, it's different when she's with young Master Lu. What a beautiful figure. The clothes look expensive. Clothes really make a difference. She looked much prettier than she usually is. Everyone looked at Fu Chengxi in surprise and amazement. From behind, the moment Lu Baikan arrived and walked along her side, everyone started sighing. Fu Chengxi unknowingly hooked onto Lu Baikan's arm. For the first time, she felt that standing beside me, she was not that weak anymore. Indeed, clothes are really important. She smiled and under everyone's gaze, she walked in with Lu Baikan. At a distance, she saw that Boss Shu and Little Q had already arrived. Chapter 1437. He quickly appeared at the accident. Wow, Chengxi is very pretty today. Everyone was familiar with who she was after those few days. They only had praises for her after seeing her being so dressed up and dignified. Fu Chengxi was happy as she felt recognized. Lowering her head and blushing, she said, No, it's Lu Baikan who brought me to buy the clothes. A few of the guys had put on a tuxedo. Without the rigidity, their tall physique looked upright and made them look heroic as compared to their usual sloppiness. Everyone could not help but look over this side, attracted by the few good-looking men and ladies. Just then, someone suddenly asked, Wow, is that Gu Jingze? Gu Jingze had arrived. Her skirt dragged on the floor as she entered the hall. The school had arranged a piano for her, so she had to dress up to make a good appearance on stage for a performance. Her long skirt was in matching colors. At the bottom, it gave a fairy-like feeling, lightly dragged on the floor as it moved with her steps and resembled smoke that spread around her. It accentuated her hourglass figure, slim and fair shoulders, clavicle, and her slim, long neck. Her hair was done up with a tinge of flyaways and a lace headband which was placed on her forehead to the back, looking like a princess from the Middle Ages. She looked like a completely dignified fairy. Wow, stunning. Everyone could not help but marvel. For the first time, they saw such a beautiful girl right before them. Even Boss Shu almost lost it at that side. Damn, Gu Jingze is really stunning like this. Of course she is, Little Q said at the side. How can you make a mistake with that face? Boss Shu tapped on Little Q's shoulder. No, just a little dressing up and she's a goddess. Goodness, I never really noticed when she was around on normal days. No way, too stunning. I want to go after her. If not, I'm letting others have it easy. Little Q quickly pulled him back. Alright, she knows all about your flings, so you want to go after her. Not a chance in your life. Oh man, what a pity. So unfortunate. If I'd known earlier, I wouldn't allow her in on those stupid stuff. Naturally, as friends, they were only joking. However, Gu Jingze's beauty was indeed for all to see. Lu Baikan could not help but look over. Beautiful, undoubtedly beautiful. Even if he had something against her now, he could not deny that she was beautiful. His eyes followed where she went, along with everyone else's gaze. Little Q tapped on Lu Baikan. Stunning, right? Lu Baikan came to his senses. Haha, attention-seeking. Gosh, seriously, you don't know how to appreciate it. Alright, he already has a girlfriend. No matter how he sees it, he can't appreciate it. Moreover, she's not the type that Lu Baikan likes. Boss Shu said. Fu Chengxi had been feeling elated until she saw Gu Jingze. Her elation ended. It was as if seeing her brought an understanding to what was beautiful. Fu Chengxi immediately felt that she was ultimately an ugly duckling, forever unable to turn into a swan while Gu Jingze was the real princess. So envious of her. Fu Chengxi wondered why the heavens were so unfair. A person so beautiful and so wealthy was like the darling of the heavens, while she was so ordinary herself. Just then, the party started. Fu Chengxi saw everyone hurrying to dance. The second and third year students already learned ballroom dancing. They did not know yet and watched. Gu Jingyan was not around and everyone was still searching for her. Where is Gu Jingyan? Oh my, too stunning. I want to ask her for a dance. She's going to play the piano in a moment. She went to the back to prepare. Just then, Lu Baikan sneered. He thought that Gu Jingyan was really too attention-seeking. She had said he was attention-seeking in the past. Now, she was not really keeping a low profile. Humph. Though he understood that Gu Jingyan was the kind of girl who could not avoid the attention even if she did not seek it. She was so pretty and talented. Whatever it was, she was always better than the masses. Everyone celebrated until halfway. The host went up to say, "Now, let's welcome our talented Gu Jingyan to perform a piece for everyone." For release. Just then, a platform was seen shaking. Gu Jingyan and the piano were on it. She was like an angel. She sat in front of the piano and in a moment after her silhouette appeared, sounds from the piano were heard. Wow, stunning. She looks so professional playing the piano. She's much better than any 10th grade pianist. The main thing is she has the qualities. She looks like a princess. Everyone could not help but admire. Fu Chengxi clenched her fists tighter. How was Gu Jingyan able to play the piano so well? How was she good at everything? Just then, a click was heard. Someone shouted, "Oh no, the platform is broken." Gu Jingyan was stunned. The platform had already tilted. She slipped and the gigantic and heavy piano followed after. Ah, Gu Jingyan. Everyone started screaming upon seeing the accident, unable to do anything. Just as everyone thought Gu Jingyan was going to get pinned down by the piano, a shadow was seen flitting out. Everyone had not enough time to react but he had already swiftly pulled Gu Jingyan away. Gu Jingyan did not expect that she could get injured by playing on the piano. She could not react quickly. The next moment, she was dragged away by a strong arm. She landed into his embrace. She looked up and her eyes met Lu Baikan's deep eyes. She froze. He sat on the ground as Gu Jingyan had fallen onto his body. Ouch! Lu Baikan let out a wince and frowned. Everyone started reacting. Hurry, take a look. Ah, is young Master Lu alright? Fu Chengxi stood stiff as she looked. She did not even know when Lu Baikan headed out. After some time, she finally came to a reaction. Gu Jingyan did not expect Lu Baikan to be here in a flash when he was so far away. Are you alright? Gu Jingyan said. Lu Baikan frowned. Obviously, you're so heavy and you fell onto me. Do you think I'm alright? Oh, then you better get up. Gu Jingyan wanted to get off quickly but there was a sharp pain in her ankle. Though the piano did not land on her, it had landed on her leg. Lu Baikan looked down and quickly held onto her. Alright, don't move. It wasn't easy saving your life. Don't throw it away, let me do it. He was all fine. He got up and carried Gu Jingyan in a sweep. Though she was tall, Gu Jingyan was actually light. Gu Jingyan let out a cry. She could only hold on to him as he carried her. Chapter 1438 Being a guest at Gu Jingyan's home. Under everyone's attention, Lu Baikan carried Gu Jingyan to the sickbay. He put her down at the sickbay. The doctor hurried over to take a look and discovered her leg was inflamed. I don't think it's a fracture. If not, you wouldn't even be able to move. The doctor said. He helped her massage the leg and put some medicine on it. But it's best to go to the hospital to give it a check. Lu Baikan said, then what are we still doing here? Come, let's take you to the hospital. Lu Baikan said as he walked over. Gu Jingyan quickly said, oh, it's fine. There's no need to go to a hospital. The family doctor can take a look when I get home. Lu Baikan pondered and agreed. The Gu family has a doctor, why did they need to go through the hassle of going to the hospital? Then I'll call your home to have someone pick you up. I can make the call myself. If you call them, they'll think something major happened to me. The calls will be endless and then it'll become a bigger problem. She looked up at Lu Baikan. Her gaze was intense. Lu Baikan looked at him. What's with you? Weren't you seated quite far away? How did you run so fast? She asked. Lu Baikan said, oh, you still have the cheek to say it. I'd already noticed the platform was off balance from the start. You guys are good, for the effects, you played such a high card. Fortunately, you're still alright. If not, your face, originally not very nice to look at, would be smashed. Even if you don't die, you'd be disfigured. Get lost. Which part of my face isn't nice? Ha, so you think you're good looking Both of them talked and broke into a laugh soon after. Just then, Boss Shu and Little Q entered. Fu Chengxi followed quietly behind to enter. Instantly, she saw the two of them laughing at the bed front and was stunned. Have they made up? Fu Chengxi looked at Gu Jingyan. Are your legs still alright? I thought I saw it hit your legs. Gu Jingyan smiled when she saw Fu Chengxi. It's fine, I'm alright. Fu Chengxi said, it's too dangerous. I was scared stiff. Luckily, Baiken ran fast. Boss Shu added on, exactly. He was faster than a rabbit. I was still in shock while he had already gone over. Thank goodness you reacted in time. Little Q said. Gu Jingyan said, alright. Thank you for everyone's concern. I might be in bed for a few days but the doctor said my bone's not damaged. Gu Jingyan quickly called home. The Gu family immediately sent someone over to pick her up. Lu Baiken and the rest went along. Fu Chengxi looked at Lu Baiken. You were really fast. I hadn't even seen anything yet. Lu Baiken said, that's for sure. I've always been swift and agile. Fu Chengxi turned and did not say anything. Her family got into paranoia when Gu Jingyan told them what had happened. They even wanted to allocate 2 bodyguards to follow her, but Gu Jingyan did not want that. She rejected the idea immediately. How was she going to attend school with her bodyguards around? She did not want to be stared at wherever she went. However, as a way of thanking Lu Baiken, the Gu family had said to invite them over to their place. Gu Jingyan informed Lu Baiken and the rest. They took the chance on the weekend to go over and visit Gu Jingyan as well. Fu Chengxi followed. 4 of them were coming. Lu Baiken was driving his 2-seater Ferrari, so he could only take Fu Chengxi along. Behind, Boss Shu drove his family's Lamborghini and Little Q drove a Maserati. The few of them stopped at Gu Jingyan's home gate. It was not much of a surprise as the Gu family's old house was not an ordinary place after all. The surrounding houses were not close but you could see that they were all villas. One look and you would know that this was a rich man's estate. Fu Chengxi had seen the Gu family's home from the outside but she had never been inside. When she went in, she realized that it was bigger than it looked from the outside. After entering, the maid brought the few of them to look for Gu Jingyan. Although she was fine, she was still given a wheelchair. She sat in the middle waiting for them. Oh, not bad. You've become disabled, Boss Shu said. Gu Jingyan replied listlessly, it's the family doctor. He said I shouldn't be moving around so much. My mother got so frightened that she got me a wheelchair. The good thing was that the wheelchair was automated. After some familiarization, she could go wherever she wanted to. This place isn't too bad. Is this where you live? In the Gu family, there were a few buildings within close proximity. The children in the family had their own individual buildings. Hers was not considered big. The biggest belonged to her second brother as he had placed many instruments there. She did not have many things to place so she got a smaller building. The furnishing within was not simple. They were all done by Mu Wanqing so that it looked like a home for a princess. Clearly, a lot of effort was put in on all floors. This small building was inhabited by Gu Jingyan alone. Fu Chengxi could not help but be amazed. She always thought that the wealthy families she had seen on the television were already luxurious. A family like that lived in a big villa with numerous rooms. However, at Gu Jingyan's home, she found out that everyone had their own little property. Gu Jingyan said, make yourselves at home. You can eat and have fun all you want. I've asked them not to disturb us. We can have our meals here in a moment. It's too troublesome to get to the dining room. My grandfather is particularly strict. You guys will be shocked. Ha, alright, is your bedroom upstairs? No way, I must take a look and see if you're hiding any secret. Boss Shu had often come over to Gu Jingyan's home but had never really entered this part of the house. In a moment, he curiously ran up. Hey, come back here. Who gave you permission to go up? You're not allowed to. Little Q immediately held onto Boss Shu's back and pulled him down from the stairs. Goodness, how can you casually look into a girl's room? Little Q said righteously. What if you see something you shouldn't? Like undergarments or something? Damn you. Gu Jingyan could not move her legs. A pillow was thrown over. A few of them laughed. When they saw the maid bring something to eat, they made a bigger space, sat there, and prepared to play games. Gu Jingyan and Fu Chengxi watched from the sides. The few boys started playing. Lu Baiken was good at playing games. He was winning the battles. Boss Shu was not bad either. He just missed out by a bit each time. He was so annoyed. Gosh, Lu Baiken, get out of my way. Hey, Lu Baiken, how can you bear to hit me like this? Fu Chengxi watched and felt incredibly proud of her boyfriend. He was really that elegant and talented in everything. Gu Jingyan looked at the time. You guys continue. I'll go take my medicine. Go. You can't stop the medication. When you get back, I'd have already beaten Lu Baiken. However, unfortunately, he was once again defeated by Lu Baiken. Damn it, I'm not playing anymore. Boss Shu waved his arm angrily and the drink beside him got onto Lu Baiken's pants. Chapter 1439 Taking a peek of her in her room. Damn, you can't take revenge like this just because you can't win. Lu Baiken immediately jumped up. Boss Shu continued laughing heartily. An attendant saw them and quickly said, Young Master Lu, we'll get you a change of clothes. Lu Baiken grunted, dusted his pants, and followed the attendant upstairs. The attendant said, the clothes here are all brand new. They are all prepared for our young master by the caretaker. We brought over a few sets just now. You can take a look and pick one. Lu Baiken replied, okay, got it. The attendant took him up to the second floor and left him alone to change. Lu Baiken randomly picked a set from a pretty good brand. The Gu family's caretaker had good taste. When he walked out along the corridor, he heard some sounds coming from one of the rooms. Somebody was humming. That was probably Gu Jingyan. This woman was in a good mood today. She was even humming. What an awful hum. He smiled as he walked over. The room door was left slightly open and through the narrow slit. That slender figure was standing there and putting on underwear. She only wore a little skirt. The weather was already cool, but it was still very warm in the house. In her room, she only wore simple home clothes like that skirt on her right now. Now, she was balancing on one leg, wavering as she pulled her underwear up towards her skirt. Lu Baiken was stunned. He was completely immobile. His eyes were fixated on what was going on inside. Below, her long legs crossed as the tiny underwear got stuck at her calves. He could see that it was dark blue with laces on the sides. It was relatively small and looked like it could be easily bunched in one hand. She was actually putting it on. That meant that she wore nothing inside. She was bare. Thinking about it, Lu Baiken felt his nose burn and his body on fire. He should have left, but his legs were fixed in that spot. He could not move. He could not help but continue peering inside. He was an adolescent with raging hormones. How could he resist seeing something like that? He could even feel something quietly changing in his body. Although he was aware of this kind of thing, he had never acted on impulse. Even when he was with Fu Chengxi, holding hands was already enough and he never thought about anything else. But why was it that seeing this now he suddenly could not hold back? However, at this moment, Gu Jingyan had been standing on one leg to change as her other leg was injured. She accidentally tipped over and lost her balance. Lu Baiken forgot that he was peeking at her. Instinctively, he quickly ran in. Ah! Gu Jingyan thought that she was going to fall once again. Unexpectedly, someone came from behind and cushioned her fall. Her butt landed on his thighs. She panicked a little, but it was still better than landing on the hard ground. However, her eyes met his and she was stunned. What was Lu Baiken doing here? She had not reacted and only looked at him in shock. But Lu Baiken was almost losing his mind. Her supple skin was pressed right onto his own. He was wearing thin pants, but he could feel that warmth from her. Furthermore, he acted on impulse. His lower region grew uncontrollably. But Gu Jingyan had no idea. She could only see Lu Baiken's face. His face was suspiciously red. She had no idea why, but he seemed to blush more and more. Hey, are you okay? Did I hurt you? Gu Jingyan's heart stopped, thinking that she had injured him when she landed on him. She tried to move away quickly but felt him grabbing onto her waist. You. Gu Jingyan said, are you okay? Let me get up, don't move. This dumb woman. Lu Baiken cursed in his heart, while his blazing eyes looked at her. Gu Jingyan wanted to get up but felt something smooth on her calf. She looked down to see. It was her underwear. Damn it. She forgot that she was still changing. Her face flushed. She was bare underneath while she was sitting on his legs. Did she want to die? She quickly jumped up. You get out, she blushed, not daring to look at him as she crawled to one side. Lu Baiken was shy too. He covered his lower region and quickly fled. Gu Jingyan hurriedly put on the underwear that was left on the floor. She was still pondering. This Lu Baiken, when did he appear at her door? Wasn't he playing games? Why did he come up here? What did he see just now? Her face grew redder and felt as if it was burning up. Gosh, this bastard, what exactly was he doing? Never mind what he saw, what happened just now was enough to make her flustered. Meanwhile, downstairs. Fu Chengxi waited for a long time, but he didn't come down. While she was still wondering, she saw Lu Baiken coming down at top speed. He had a new set of clothes, but his expression was weird. It looked like he was escaping from something. Fu Chengxi asked, "What's wrong, Baiken? Are you not feeling well?" Lu Baiken paused, regained his composure a little bit and slowed down his footsteps. "Oh, I'm fine." He walked down and sat beside Boss Shu. Boss Shu turned to look. "Damn, what's up with you? Your face looks cooked." Lu Baiken glared hard at him. Just then, Gu Jingyan also came down. She came down slower and first looked at Lu Baiken. Coincidentally, Lu Baiken also looked at her. Their eyes met. Their brief interaction just now flashed in their minds again. Their hearts seemed to be hit by something, and their bodies burned up once again. Boss Shu looked up to see Gu Jingyan's face. It was so red too. "Hey, what's up with you two? Don't tell me you guys had some monkey business going on. Why are your faces so red?" Boss Shu had no filter to his mouth as he blurted out straight away. Gu Jingyan threw something at his face. Lu Baiken immediately punched him. "What's your problem?" "My problem is you." But as the two fought and their eyes met, they still couldn't stop blushing. They quickly turned away from each other, not looking at one another again. After a while, they managed to regain their composure. Fu Chengxi watched from the side. She also felt that something was off about them, but she didn't know how to ask. She could only watch them as they exchanged glances at each other, hoping she could see something out of it. But in the end, they decided not to look at each other anymore. This matter could only be left like that. Gu Jingyan grabbed Boss Shu's controller and joined the game. Lu Baiken relaxed behind and did not budge. "Boss Shu, Baiken, what happened upstairs?" Lu Baiken glared at him and said, "It was hot. It was too hot upstairs." "Yes, very hot. It was especially hot." Lu Baiken thought and involuntarily looked at the back view of Gu Jingyan once again. His mind was filled with thoughts of how she sat in his arms just now. Lingering. Chapter 1440. Gu Jingyan is so good in studies. After hanging at Gu Jingyan's place for the night and having dinner there, they headed home. When it was time for school, they entered school together again. Everyone looked. Gu Jingyan walked in with Lu Baiken for a long time, but there were more people this time. Boss Shu, Little Q, Fu Chengxi, Gu Jingyan, and Lu Baiken were together. Sometimes, they could naturally see Gu Jingyan and Lu Baiken walking together. Everyone didn't have to say how much more matching and harmonious they looked together. In comparison, Fu Chengxi was a little too meek. She did not have the poise that Gu Jingyan had. The group only separated to go to their own classrooms. In class, the teacher reminded them that the final exam was next month. Gu Jingyan then remembered what the teacher said. If Lu Baiken did not pass the next exam, she would be punished with him. After class, she turned around to Lu Baiken and said, "Hey, please do well for this exam. I don't want to get punished with you." Lu Baiken also recalled, "There's still time before the exam." Gu Jingyan saw his attitude and felt hopeless. She looked up and sighed. "Never mind, I must have been indebted to you in my past life." On account that he saved her before, Gu Jingyan did not want to argue with him over this anymore. She turned back and did not speak further. Seeing this, Lu Baiken thought for a while and then threw a paper ball at her. Gu Jingyan frowned and turned to him. "What?" Lu Baiken said, "Fine. Let's do revision tonight, all right?" "Really?" "Yes, really, since you're useful in that aspect, at least." Lu Baiken said speechlessly when he saw Gu Jingyan's enchanting smile. Gu Jingyan smiled wider. "Of course, I'm a good student." At night, the three of them revised together. Boss Shu and Little Q came over to check on them and realized that the three were actually studying. They were extremely bored and said, "All right, you guys can continue being good students. We're going for a ride." Gu Jingyan looked at them contemptuously. "All right, if you can get in, we'll send you food." After the two left, they continued revising. Fu Chengxi's grades were average as well. On the other hand, Gu Jingyan really seemed to be good at everything. No questions stumped her. Fu Chengxi looked enviously at Gu Jingyan. "Why are you so brilliant? I really can't remember anything. I don't know what to do. Gu Jingyan said, this is really not difficult. You're simply not concentrating hard enough. You don't understand the meaning of the question and you're already writing your answer. That is why you don't score well. See, isn't it the same for this question? But I really can't remember. I think English is so hard, but you do so well in it. Lu Baikan said, alright. It's not that there's anything wrong with your brain. You are normal, she is the abnormal one. Huh, Fu Chengxi looked at him. Lu Baikan said, it's all the same in her family. Her eldest brother, Gu Jingming, is a rising star in politics. He graduated from Stanford University. Her second brother skipped so many grades that he got admitted to the University of Chicago in his teens. He even took on 3 degrees at the same time. All the brains in her family are weird. Why are you comparing with her? Fu Chengxi looked at Gu Jingyan with even more admiration. Whoa, your brothers are so brilliant. No wonder. It probably runs in your genes too. Sigh. Fu Chengxi was amazed. This must have been heaven's will. If she couldn't, she couldn't. Gu Jingyan said, hey, don't blame the gods just because you can't do it. This also depends on abilities. You don't understand what you study yourself. Oh, you make it sound as if your English standard has nothing to do with you growing up with a nanny who has a PhD in philosophy from Cambridge University. Fu Chengxi was slowly starting to get jealous. It turned out that they had British nannies since they were young. Not wonder it seemed like she didn't have to study and was still so fluent. As for herself, she only started learning English from 3rd grade in elementary school. Of course, she didn't understand anything. Gu Jingyan said, hurry up and do your work. Lu Baikan laughed and continued studying. Fu Chengxi looked at the two and sighed in her heart. She felt that she was in a completely different world from them. But thankfully, Lu Baikan probably didn't fancy Gu Jingyan in that way either. Perhaps he had been surrounded by such people all the time so he would find Fu Chengxi more special. Fu Chengxi would worry that spending a long time with Gu Jingyan would make Lu Baikan neglect her. When she saw how he interacted in the same way with Boss Shu and Little Q, she felt that they were probably all just friends. As his girlfriend, she shouldn't be suspicious of her boyfriend like this. Thus, she controlled herself as much as possible and tried not to become a nosy girlfriend. When Gu Jingyan was finished with her classes, she saw Seng Kai at the entrance. He saw Gu Jingyan. Ah, it's very cold today. You're just wearing those. Gu Jingyan didn't wear for warmth today. She did not notice in the morning, but it actually started snowing in the afternoon. Seng Kai said, put this on. Huh. Seng Kai took off his down jacket and handed it to Gu Jingyan. But Seng Kai only wore a cotton t-shirt inside. He tossed the jacket to Gu Jingyan and went ahead on his own. Gu Jingyan watched helplessly as he quickly got into a car. Standing there, she could only grab the jacket and sigh. Actually, she was going to be getting in the car soon and it wouldn't be very cold. The next day, she had no choice but to go to Seng Kai's class. Seng Kai was 1 year older than them. He was a sophomore. At the entrance to their class, she tugged someone. Can you get Seng Kai for me? The student looked at Gu Jingyan and was stunned for a moment. Then, he quickly ran in at the speed of the wind as if he discovered something unbelievable. Wow, Seng Kai, a gorgeous lady is looking for you. Standing at the door, Gu Jingyan heard the excited voice and rolled her eyes. So exaggerated. Seng Kai then quickly came out. When he saw Gu Jingyan, he smiled coyly. You're here. Gu Jingyan passed a paper bag to him. It's been dry cleaned, thank you. Although she did not wear it, she still got it dry cleaned before returning it to him. Seng Kai smiled wider. It was just for a while. You didn't have to get it dry cleaned. This will look like I gave you my jacket so that you could clean it. Haha, so this was your motive for lending me your jacket, Gu Jingyan said jokingly. Seng Kai laughed. Yes, you caught me. Gu Jingyan then realized that the students behind were all looking at her with curiosity in their eyes. It made her annoyed and she tightened her lips. I'll head back to class now. Seng Kai also noticed and said shyly, you're too famous. That is why they're all curious. Gu Jingyan replied, I'm not famous. Of course you are, you're just unaware of it. I'll walk you there.